Do you think he knows who he doesn't want though? And is that more important? Because you talk about like we might know the best 11, but he certainly has identified those that don't fit into his way of playing. He's got to have that list of players that at all costs he's not going to start. He doesn't want in the squad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, do we kind of draw conclusions from Tuesday night and the lineup, and the bench from yesterday, in that Alex McCarthy looked an absolute wreck trying to pass the ball out from the back, as I think we probably all predicted would happen. And come Saturday, he's not even sat on the bench. Is that a pointer? I mean, we've obviously discussed McCarthy in detail over the last probably 2 years about the fact that realistically we're still not going to be able to get rid of him anyway. Nobody's going to pick his wages up. So unless we're willing to do some sort of deal to just get him out of the door, then we're kind of stuck with him to an extent, and that's not ideal when Bazunu's form is kind of a little bit up and down. We don't know how he's going to adapt to playing in this league. He might be absolutely fine, for all we know, but you would like to think that there is a competent backup behind him who can play the system. And unfortunately, we are confident that the guy that's the backup can't play the system. So that's quite a big concern for me. I think that's to be honest, that's probably one of our biggest issues. The goalkeeper situation. I think I'm fairly relaxed on Bazunu for now. Obviously, bearing in mind a couple of sort of fairly monumental errors in these preseason games, but you can, as with anything in preseason, you can write it off. Well, it's preseason. People are getting fit. You're lacking sharpness, whatever. Once the real stuff kicks off, if he's letting them in the near post like he did in Turkey, or if he's letting one underneath him as he did at Reading last week, then all of a sudden there's big questions, and the only answer to that question is Alex McCarthy, and it's not an answer, frankly.
We're asking the wrong question if that's the answer, as they say. Glenn, who's really grasped the nettle, do you think? Who's really stood out for you with this pre-season? Is there anybody that you think actually you're a little bit surprised? I'm thinking of some of the younger players perhaps that have been given a chance to start.
Well, I think I said last week, Sam Amayor has gone from 16-year-old, and he's now probably he's probably moved ahead of the likes of Dominic Ballard and Kamari Doyle. I know Ballard's been injured. And because, I mean, our wide players last year was a massive problem. They were very mediocre, and we've got rid of a few. Like Walcott's gone, Elianussi's gone, Orsic is gone. Not that he was ever really here anyway. And suddenly Nathan Teller's become probably our first choice wide player. I think everyone who picks a starting 11 out of the players we've currently got would have him in it. And Sam Adozie, almost by default, has become the choice on the other side, because, I mean, where's Suleiman has not played a minute, so we've got to assume that he's not going to play a minute. I mean, that's a bit of a mystery. He's been around the club, but he's been injured apparently. No, he's been injured apparently.
He's back in training now.
Is it a proper injury, or is it a Salisu injury?
Salisu injury.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously Sam has come on and played well. I've been impressed with Shay Charles. He looked a bit ponderous when he played that game against Reading. He got totally done on the second goal, but I thought he's looked better and better. They've slotted him in on the right hand side with Stevens on the left, and whilst Bednarek is injured, that is probably the way he's going to go, because there's question marks over all the other centre halves. Obviously Salazar's gone, thankfully. Bella-Kotchap is obviously not. He's not in the plans. Lianco, they've tried to get rid of him, but I think he's probably still going to be here. But yeah, Ryan Manning has looked good. But then, as Steve said last week, he just slots perfectly into the system. He knows exactly how it's going to play. It'd be really interesting to see out of Tino and Carl Walker-Peters.
Has to be Tino, surely.
Yeah, I mean, we've touched on the ridiculousness of Newcastle trying to lowball for him and stuff like that. I think Tino will still be here, and it's all gone quiet on Walker Peters. But as Steve said earlier, it could all massively change even by Friday. So, does Romeo Lavia play on Friday if he's still here? I mean, he's one of our best players, so. You would thinking, okay, well, if he's still here, maybe we'll play him. But he hasn't looked particularly on it in the pre-season games. But then his head's full of Jurgen Klopp whispering sweet nothings, isn't it? No doubt, as Jurgen tends to do. So no, there's been no one who I would class as being, a massive surprise apart from the youngster.
Any disappointments, Alfie, for you? Anybody that you thought might have had a better pre-season than? I mean, Sam Edozie possibly. For me, I was expecting perhaps a little bit more. But...
I wouldn't say Sam Edozie disappointed me, to be fair, because he didn't play any football since Ruben Sellers came in, which was something I spoke about with him yesterday. Actually, as question, he sort of said that he went through all the phases of, being a bench player and being an impact player for Ralph, and then obviously Nathan Jones made him a starting wing back, which he didn't mind actually. He quite enjoyed working with Nathan Jones. Apparently, he said that he learned a lot. So I'm going to see what he learned on that. But then obviously he had the third phase, which was he didn't play a minute under Ruben Sellers. Basically, he was one of the ones that was cast aside, presumably because he tries to take the ball forward rather than pass it backwards. But disappointments, I think, is harsh. But I mean, Lianco, for me, has revealed himself as probably not what we could have hoped, unfortunately. So, disappointment seems harsh, but I think he probably isn't quite up to it in what mine wants. And like I say, the goalkeeper situation worries me, but I still back Gavin Bazunu a little bit as well. Other disappointments, I don't know how fit Che Adams has been. I don't know if he's been 100% firing raring to go, but I would have liked to have seen him sort of just grab the ball by the horns and say to Russell, this striker position is mine, because at the moment he's let Adam Armstrong get in front of him. And I don't think he'd be pleased with that if he wants to play.